Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another OS Talk. Today is April 7th, 2017, and we are joined with Ephemeral, Professional Box, Ming, and Pishy to talk about the Aspire tournament contest that we saw a little bit ago. How you doing, guys?
Hello. Doing well.
Hello there.
Everyone's saying
Very
hello
good,
there.
yes.
Hello there.
All right, guys. So we had a really interesting Aspire contest this year, and not to kind of say anything bad about the previous year, but it definitely jumped over at leaps and bounds from 2016. 2016 kind of just looks like an afterthought after we've seen so many people take it, but it did set the building blocks, I guess.
I mean, yeah, for sure. Well, most maps in Aspire so far, like in the first two contests, were pretty simple in design, but then they used all the same elements that, or the third contest used all the same elements that were in those first two contests. So it was like a lot more complex stuff going on.
I mean, the first one, like, literally by today's standards, that could be ranked. The one that
so many of those maps were rankable.
Yeah. And then, like, when Strata kind of basically set the block for how bad we want the game to be broken with 2016. And,
yeah, for sure.
These guys just took it away with 2017. Ephemeral, like, what did you think about the whole thing? Like, you started this. Like, are you blown away with it? Has it really, like, done what you expected it to do? Because I remember when we were talking about Aspire way back when, nobody thought it was going to get off the ground at all. It was just like, why would you do a contest where everything's breaking? No one's going to want to touch those. But it's actually worked pretty well.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised, honestly. I do remember people saying that. Oh, no one's going to want to enter a contest where there's no ranking criteria. What's the point? It wouldn't be a contest. Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah, and I mean,
obviously,
we can easily see how different it's become because, like we said, Charles won the first one. That was in was that 2015 or was it 2014? Did we jump a year?
I think it's
24. I think it was 2014.
Yes, we jumped a year.
Yeah, we
that
jumped.
long ago? Holy crap.
That's why it looks so rankable, dude.
Good old
yeah, it's a sad
Like, we were really heavily, we were really restrictive back then. I mean, a lot of people say it's gotten more restrictive as time goes, but it really hasn't. And my opinion, it's gotten less restrictive. I mean, yeah, there's a lot more fine picking that people can do towards maps and, like, design choices. But in terms of what you're actually allowed to get away with, it's kind of went up. But that aside, let's talk about results. Now, a lot of you might have known that the Aspire contest is over now, and the results have been posted on the main page. And if you haven't checked the results, what are you doing? Go check them.
Go check
like,
them out
seriously.
quickly.
Okay, Professional Box. I wonder who won, you know?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Man.
Let's see.
I'm excited who won.
Yeah, the map we're looking at right now, actually, kind of an important one.
Oh, yeah? I actually don't have visual towards it. I guess
Oh,
I should
you don't?
probably do that. I should
Well,
probably do that.
It may or may not be
Professional.
one from someone in this chat.
Yeah. But, like, so with the results, we did see our lovely Professional Box taking the #1 spot. Then we saw Versatile Mallard, which was our second entry. Oh, I forgot to mention the first one. Somber Indus was the winning entry, guys. And then we had Versatile Mallard coming in at second place. And then third, my personal favorite, yeah, I'm going to go out on record and say it, like, that was, like, my up there one, was Tranquil Chipmunk that took third. And I want to say Emma was the one that mapped that, but I'm not 100% sure. If
Amelia.
Amelia, okay.
yes.
Yeah, Amelia.
Okay. Amelia was the one that mapped that. Not sure on gender, so I will just say very impressive work. You know?
He's a guy. For
Okay,
sure.
okay. You never know, Pishy. You
I
never know,
know.
dude.
We've seen.
that's good.
He's a very cute guy.
I'm just going to go fix the announcement real quick.
Oh, wait. Are you serious?
Oh, wait.
Oh, that is beautiful.
That's
Oh. Okay. Okay. So result wise, yeah, that's how it kind of played down. But mind you, there were only top 3 that we talked about, but there were a lot of entries this year. Way more than I believe the previous year and the year prior to that. So it is growing in size. You know, and
Were there? I think the first Aspire actually had the most.
Yes.
over
Didn't the
100.
first one have like 120
100
initial
yeah.
submissions?
115, I think.
Yeah, but
115. Okay,
how
yeah.
many of those got scraped under the wayside though? Like,
I mean,
I mean,
114 of them.
100.
yeah, like, I mean, there were a lot of entries that at least could do battle, like at a technical level. You had to actually analyze them this year. Then, because I don't think I helped with the Aspire judging in 2014, but I do remember talking to someone that was, and I mean, yeah, this is gonna kind of sound bad, but it's the truth. They're like, man, half these maps are garbage. I didn't even look, and I'm like, you can't do that. I mean, as a judge myself, I have to wade through garbage. I don't like doing it, but I have to. Pishy, what are your thoughts on that? You looked at every map.
I mean, yeah, I looked
right.
objectively. I don't know. I don't think objective is a word to describe maps very well, but yeah, of course I looked through all the difficulties for this third Aspire contest. Ephemeral was part of the first one, though. He was one of the judges, so he probably has something to say about that.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, Charles only won on a hair on the first contest as well, as like 1 or 2 points or something.
Yeah, it wasn't very much. Boy, did he get giddy as a schoolgirl when he won, though.
I mean, that wouldn't you from winning from 1 point? I mean,
oh, for sure.
yeah, there was a lot of really good entries in that first contest, so that's why all the scoring was so close. Not to say there wasn't a lot of good entries this time, but we use a little bit of a different scoring metric now than we used to, so...
Yeah, it's a lot more clean, if you ask me, in all honesty. But the results are pretty much out of there, you know? You can check them out on the front page. Be sure to do that too, guys. And you can give feedback and stuff like that. Now, something that was kind of noted at the end of the news post that I kind of want to go into, and this one we could really break into tangents on, guys, is you kind of talked a little bit about starting Aspire contests for every difficulty. Well, not every difficulty, but every game mode, which means a Taiko Aspire, a Mania Aspire, and a Catch the Beat Aspire, and above and beyond as soon as new game modes become available and stuff like that. But how well do you see that happening? I mean, not to like discredit anybody that works or not, but we do have a little bit of problems with judges. I mean, we've had contests delayed before and stuff like that. How well do you feel we're going to be able to keep these contests running?
Well, I think it depends on the mode, to be honest with you. With Taiko, I think we might have a slight problem finding people that don't want to actually compete, because a lot of the really active people in Taiko also map for Taiko as well. So it might be a bit difficult to find people that want to do the honorable mentions panel judging for Taiko, and it's probably the same thing again for Catch, but I think we'll really see something interesting come out in Mania. I'm looking forward to Mania's one the most after Standard, if I'm honest.
I can understand that. Is it at all a possibility that it might only go to community voting for Taiko and Catch if the communities can't find people for the honorable mention panels?
Probably no. I think we'll think of something else, or we'll find judges, or do something. I don't want to just leave it purely to community voting. Not to say that it's not a... Well, okay, I'm just going to come out and say it isn't a valid measure like 90% of the time of what's a
We
good map.
don't trust any of you.
Yeah, simply put. I mean, I've been here for like 8 years. I know how this community works.
Oh,
I know how people are with their opinions, and that's why the Aspire will always have a panel of judges associated with it as well. It's important to have that expert opinion. It's what makes the contest, to be honest.
Oh, for sure. And like, I'm glad to hear that you're saying, yeah, we definitely need some kind of honorable mention or some kind of panel of people that know what they're doing. I'd love to be able to help in the other classes, but there's just no way. Like, I'm not well versed enough in any of them. If I was to maybe practice on one, the only one I think I could probably grasp, and I can hear the seething comments coming in just a moment, would be Catch the Beat. I feel like I could learn that pretty quick. There's probably some Catch veterans that are like, no, you can't. You can't. It's so much more in depth than that. But, yeah. I kind of agree with Twitch chat there. With CTV Aspire, XCon and CSLW are going to be like predominant.
We'll see. It's you never know until the contest actually happens who's going to win.
All right. Well, so Box and Ming, we haven't got a lot of words out of you yet, so let's go ahead and try to do that. About this contest, before you decided to take part, like, had you heard of the Aspire contest before? Did you take part in previous years? And, like, what got you interested in grueling on this? Because, I mean, what, 5-minute map, 5-minute plus? Like, that's a lot of time to be mapping, especially if you're, like, going above and beyond and trying to intentionally break stuff while still making it fun. What was your thought process to that? And have you followed Aspire all the time, or was it just something you guys jumped into? And whoever wants to take that question first can, no problem.
I can go first, sure.
All right.
So yes, I had heard of Aspire before. I was around when the first one came, so that was in 2014, and basically I wasn't experienced enough in mapping back then to take part, but I was really like interested in the contest overall. And what made me want to take part in this contest? Well, basically I felt like I've become experienced enough that I could actually do well in the contest, and I really wanted to like break my own limits and be on the front line of pushing mapping forward, and that's why I really like this contest. Like, we can get rid of the boundaries that are set by ranking criteria and basically do whatever we want.
Yeah, and I mean, well, there are limits to what you can do, but it does kind of chop down everything that you thought was sacred in a standard beat map. And you guys definitely did not disappoint. Each one of the top three, you guys took the game, bent it over, and did very explicit things to it. But it turned out really great. I mean, your winning map, now, I said before, it was pretty decent, and I like it a lot. I personally, myself, it would have been 2, and I'm just being honest. But
yeah, sure.
Like, what you managed to do, I literally thought was a storyboard for like the first 2 days I saw it. I even like messaged, I think I messaged Pishy and a couple other people, and I'm asking, is that storyboard? And they're like, no, that's coding. And then Monstrata explained to me exactly what was going on, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, how did you figure that would happen? Like, how did you put that much time into it to figure that it would break like that? Like,
yeah, so basically I wasn't the first person to do this. I think the first person to actually do something like this is in fact Ming, who is here with us. And I saw his retirement map, and I was like, I didn't expect that you could break the game in the way he did. So I like took it upon me to experiment further, and I felt like I could maybe do something that no one has ever seen before with the kind of game-breaking things he did. He like edited Notepad to break the sliders so that I could basically, I mean, it's hard to explain now
I
because
can totally understand.
yeah, because, well, to be honest, I actually found 2 days ago, I found a really simple way to do the slider distortions, and I will be sharing publicly how you can do it in less than a minute without it being complicated at all, so that everyone can experiment on the gimmick itself. But like before that, while I was mapping the map, it would take me hours to manipulate the sliders because
It was a lot of back
basically-
and forth. Like, you
yeah,
had to
basically,
check the
and
Notepad.
I had crashed my OS like probably 100 times trying to manipulate the objects because the client doesn't like if it's being broken. So it was an experience to say the least.
Yeah, I can imagine. So our next question, you definitely kind of set it up for us. Ming, how did you figure out how to break OS like that? Like, what possessed you to see what you could do with sliders in that way?
Starting at 2015, I heard Aspire, and after that I think, why wouldn't you break the editor even more? Then I tried before Grenade. I have a map that's Infinity BPM, but no one seems to know that. In that time, it is like fallback version of the Osu. I make some sliders and I set the height of the Osu is very small, so I can put the slider into very far away. So what I get is the slider is starting to distort. And
Yeah, it created distortion and it made it like what I'm wondering though is like, did you know it was going to do that when you started messing with the code, or was it all just trial by error? Like, were you just typing stuff in and then seeing what the results would be?
In that time, I just trying to put a very high BPM that the system can almost handle it. So I using this for a year. But that time is only changing the BPM, but not the map itself.
Ah, I see. And that's what creates the problem. Ephemeral, after we've seen stuff like this, do you think that's something that would ever get coded out? Or, like, I don't think we ever got any kind of word from Pepe on, like, how they managed to do that or what he thought of that. But I would hope something like that wouldn't get locked. Because, I mean, Ming in Professional Box, I don't know if you guys knew about this map. It's a little bit older. But have you guys ever heard of cutting circles?
That name doesn't ring a bell, but I might have seen. I just can't remember names.
Oh, no problem. I can totally explain to you what happened. So,
yeah, sure.
Essentially, the slider would start at the like, say it's at the left side of the screen, and it'd go off the end and then finish on the right side of the screen. And that was something really neat that was allowed for a little bit, and then it got patched out, which was unfortunate. And I feel like there was a couple of Spire entries that did something along those lines a little bit, or tried to, when placing sliders just out of the play area. So they still play, but they're just no longer visible. But this literally cut the trail, and it cut it off and would start it somewhere completely different. You remember what I'm talking about, right, Ephemeral?
I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Seriously? Nobody knows about the cutting
Yeah, I have
circles?
no idea what you're talking about either.
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
a
fucking
you want about?
dream of yours. So. Are you sure this really happened?
I'm dead serious. It actually happened. I am not.
What
dreaming.
year was this in?
Dude, it's old. It was like 2013 at least. Like, it is super old. I guarantee it happened though. It was really neat, and you could cut them, but it did get patched out. It got fixed, and that's one thing I worry about. Like, we see these Aspire contests and everything that's good coming out of them, and they make all this really interesting stuff, but like, what will be perceived as an actual issue and what's perceived as, oh, that's really cool. Like, because another way that you could look at the Aspire contest is you're trying to break the editor, and that's actually a really good way to bug test the editor too.
I think we get things like
Yeah, I break a lot and crash a lot.
Yeah, same.
But
Pretty much the same.
After like crashing 20 times, and you're starting to know what the editor limit is, and you try to avoid the crash.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude,
but you still end up crashing because you forget to avoid it. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I swear, Ming and Professional Box, both of you combined, your crash logs would probably fix like every conceivable problem that we have with the editor right now.
I mean, I can crash the editor without using Notepad, like under 2 minutes. So.
Jeez.
I'm
I
impressed.
can crash the gameplay, not the editor. It's just memory overflow.
I used to.
It takes 1 gigabyte of RAM.
Jesus.
From the map.
Amazing.
Doing 1 pixel sliders really hurts the
Um,
frame rate of the game.
I doing negative value of the sliders.
Oh yeah.
That is crazy.
Regarding your original question, though, Zetra, like
Yeah.
as to whether these kind of mechanics would be like, I'm just going to call them mechanics. That's basically what they are, even if they're technically, from glitches or whatever.
Yeah.
If it works in Laser now, because you can actually, like, Laser has a pre-release and stuff,
Mhm.
a development build. If it works in Laser, it's probably going to work forever, is my guess, or
I
close
haven't
to it.
actually tried out the laser, but I can do it after this stream to see if they work.
I think I tried out,
Infinity isn't working. It counts at infinity. It should be like something default number. It's yeah.
It probably does something like that. But if the mechanic essentially works in Laser, it's going to work pretty much when Laser gets released properly as well.
Oh, that's a good way to. That's a good way to test it. I didn't even think about that. That went over my head. But yeah, if it works in Laser, I agree with you there. I don't see it getting changed too much. Because like a few things that we used to use a lot, and I feel like they're gonna probably come back, is like manipulation of slider speeds through points. I don't think that's as big as a problem as it used to be, and people are starting to read that more normally. But Aspire kind of brought the first one, mind you, old school talk, sorry, but the first one kind of brought a lot of those issues to light, and a lot of them got removed from actual normal standard ranking criteria, which was unfortunate. But I feel like the new ranking criteria that they have set, everybody's doing pretty decent with it. It's getting updated, it's current, and there's not too many problems with that.
Yeah, the sliders you talked about that are like squished from slider points, whatever, they're not in the new ranking criteria, so you can do them all you want.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that was
As
one of
long
the
as it
recent
makes sense,
changes, I
at
think,
least.
wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, that was a big issue for a couple of years. That because they do add a lot to the game if you use them properly.
Exactly.
Hope you disagreed with that. I think he still does
Disagreed
disagree.
hard.
He's willing to compromise on it now, I believe. But yeah, it's stuff like that, and hold sliders, for instance, as well. Like I'm still kind of shocked that they're not allowed, considering how cleanly you can make them now. Like people have figured out how to make them pixel perfect and stuff.
I think that's not exactly true, like as in terms, like I feel like that's still an object that's wanting to be made into the actual game, and I think that is why that's why we're seeing it like that, you know what I mean? Like the reason why we're still not allowed to use them is I feel like that's just been a back burner kind of object that we've wanted for a while. And you could see with Laser, like you said, there's a lot of things that are changed in it. The spinners, for example, if anyone's actually checked out the test build, it's very cool. Definitely give it a shot if you can. I'm not going to link it here. Other people will probably do that for you. Simple Google Foo will find you it. You know, so anyways.
You can also watch Pepe's live plays of it on Twitter.
Yes.
He played like 3-star maps.
I don't actually think it's his PC. Yeah. So unfortunately, we're having issues with the video. I don't think it's his PC. I think it's the video encoding. So, oops, my bad, guys.
If he's a smart cookie, he can just go to the next video and it should magically fix itself.
Yes. I think he's actually doing it live though, so it might not be able to do that. Anyways, let's kind of talk to our two guests here, Professional Box and Ming, about the I keep on wanting to say tournament. I'm sorry, guys. I'm in TWC mode already. We're going to be doing that later today as well. So I apologize if I keep on saying tournament. It was a contest. It's not a tournament. But yeah, so you guys decided to take part this year. What was your experience with it? Did you have fun? We'll start with Ming this time, and then we'll get Professional Box. Did you enjoy 2017's Aspire, Ming?
Yes, I did enjoy because I discovered some new techniques to break the game even further. Because usually I just randomly using my old mechanism, I think, to break the game. And maybe I should try something new because I upload something that's probably others using. So this year is a good year. Also, I can see like Professional Box using my sliders, which is pretty good.
Yeah. Now, did you assume you were going to make it to the top 3? Was that ever a goal there? Did you have a strong feeling towards it, or were you just kind of like doing it for shiggles?
I just aim to get a top 1, I think. But didn't expect that professionals make a map that has a good visualization of the style.
Yeah. And I mean, it's all fine and dandy. If you're like a little salty, you could
No,
pour some
it's
salt.
fine. I don't map something very good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the versatile mallard was really decent. Like I said earlier, before we even got started with the talk, I really enjoyed it. And just me, like, don't take this as anyone else's opinion, guys. Remember, this is just Zetrod's opinion. I would have put yours over Box's, just because, like, what Box did.
How
made
dare
me
you
go,
think that?
Oh, yes, how dare me. But, I mean, what Box did was really cool, but I felt like map-wise as a whole, yours was just a little bit better. But that wow factor is what helps you win contests like that. And Box definitely had the what factor in that one.
I'll be honest. When I was vetting the entries, because the way the contest works is we get a bunch of entries first, and there was like 40 of them or something. And basically, I sat down and went through all of the 40 entries, and then kind of picked out like which ones weren't joke entries or like which ones are actually competitive.
Giant faces.
Yeah, fucking Millie and his pippy faces. Every contest, you know, he's done that every contest since like they started. Every year he puts in a pippy face.
I did not know that. Do they get better?
No, they get worse.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
His one that he entered in the one that Charles won was by far his best one. But anyway, as I was going through those entries, like just because of the way that the naming was sorted, I think I saw Mings about halfway through. And up until that point, I hadn't really seen anything that was particularly impressive. And I was a bit worried because, you know, the song choice this year was a little bit of a, how do I put it? It's outlandish because, I mean, not very many people map 5-minute songs. Like, just in general, it's a pretty niche thing. And I thought, you know, we'll use this year as a gimmick just to see what comes of it. And I was kind of worried that we'd end up... No worries. I was kind of worried that we'd end up with some, you know, with some not that great maps getting through, and it'd just be kind of like a really mediocre vote. And then I saw Ming's map, and I'm like, oh, this is good. And then it kept going, and it kept getting better. And I'm like, oh yes, this is Aspire. This is what I was after. And then my game crashed, and I'm like, we're here. We're here.
Yeah.
This is it. This is what I wanted. And then the same thing happened a couple of entries afterwards when I saw Probox's entry. The same thing happened again. My game crashed. I was viewing them in the editor, and the editor just died. And I'm like, oh, this is so good. We got 2 entries that break the game.
Yeah, and Ephemeral actually had to leave a notation for the other judges on that one. It's like, guys, you definitely want to turn off hit lighting and anything that highlights notes in the editor if you're going to look at these in the editor. If you play them on auto, it should be good. Just disable hit lighting. That'll crash it too. Can't remember which editor that one was, but I didn't read the notes and I pulled it out in the editor, and I got really mad for a second because one of them, I'm not sure if it was Ming's or Box's, one of them you cannot open like at all. I think it might have been Box's. Like if you go and open and test it instantly, it'll work, but at least for me, anytime I try to like scroll through it just die.
I think that only happens if you scroll through like the broken sliders part.
Yeah, I mean, I left the note for Ephemeral as I submitted my map that it should be okay as long as you don't scroll through the broken sliders part.
Yeah. See, I didn't check that, and it was just kaboom for me constantly. But it was really cool. Like, I don't think any of the other contests we've seen actually broke maps. Ephemeral, you'd probably be the better judgment of that. Did we have any entries like Monstradas in 2016? That didn't break anything, did it? Like, you could still run it.
not
I mean,
that I
it
know.
broke star rating.
Oh,
That fixed
Not
that.
quite as bad as Ming's one did, though. I'm pretty sure.
True.
Yeah,
PvP
okay, true.
mapping.
Ming's one is literally -1. In fact, I think it's the only loved map, or the only map in the game with a scoreboard that actually has a negative star rating on the game on the website.
No, it's 0. Is that? But it's -1 in Fred.
Yeah, it's
God.
crazy.
And 55 second up drain time after I add something interesting inside. I don't know what I add.
that's ridiculous. Well, I mean, it's crazy just to think how far this has come. Anytime
It
I
really
think
is,
about
you know?
It's like, oh my
I just
God.
wanted to be a one-off
Like-
thing. Like,
Dude, I was just about to say that, like, when it very first came out, I'm like, oh, this is going to be one of those ephemeral things where he starts it does somewhat decently, and then he never touches it again, and it just dies. But it didn't. It did not die. We took a 1-year hiatus, and it's been going strong ever since. And now you're talking about expanding it, which is even better.
Yeah, you get the other modes in on it. I was actually really impressed with the CTB Transcend. I think they actually called themselves Aspire for a while before they were asked to change. Not that I asked them to change, someone else did. But I think it was Transcend, which turned out to be Aspire type, almost exactly. And I was actually really impressed with that. And I was kind of super excited to see other people having their own versions of the no ranking criteria contest, because I really think it's a very interesting, really engaging part of mapping that I think needs to be discovered more by a lot of people.
You can definitely get new ideas, and it makes you look at map creation a little different. I feel like as we've gone forward, the meta kind of locked in stone for a lot of these newer mappers. Like, there's things you do and things you don't, and if you're going to be safe and you're only wanting ranked maps, then you're probably never going to try anything crazy. But then these tournaments come around, well, contests, there we go again, and the contest really gets the way of thinking. You think outside of the box, you know, outside of the professional box.
Hey.
And that allows you to do stuff that you normally wouldn't do. And 9 times out of 10, I'll be honest, it usually doesn't amount to anything great. But that one time, it amounts to something that's just fantastic. Like, people will be talking, hey man, did you see that crazy map that just breaks OS? Like, they'll talk about that forever. Like, those will be going down. Like, Monstrata's Butterfly is never gonna disappear. People will be talking about that for a long time, and that was last year.
People will probably talk about this year's one for ages as well, especially the on all 3 of them actually. Like the dab slide is never going to be forgotten.
No, not at all.
I'm pretty sure.
That's my favorite.
And the infinite BPM negative star rating map is also never going to be forgotten. And then the jumpy out slider visualization ghost thing that Probox did is also never going to be forgotten. So it's we got 3 iconic entries this year, which is honestly spectacular. I really wasn't expecting that.
Not to mention, I mean, this is also the first year that the Aspire got a lot more publicity as well. It came out through the osulive. There was a stream event for it, very well received stream event as well. It actually
stop it, I'll blush.
Oh no, I'm not just blushing to you, because I gotta put salt on that, because we had just gotten done doing the Taiko World Cup and we had like 800, 900 viewers, and then Aspire came out and I think we capped out at like 1,800, and I'm just like,
over
wow,
2,000, over 2,000.
Over 3,000?
2,000.
2,000, okay, it's over 2,000.
Let's not get too hyped about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like crazy, but just like I said, just like an hour before when we were doing Taiko stuff, and it just shows you how much people want to see stuff like this happen. And the judging panel was actually, we got a couple people that I never thought I'd actually be able to hear talk at all on there and talking, so that was great, and it was pretty well received, and we got to actually voice our actual opinions. It wasn't any cookie cutter stuff. We weren't fed scripts. We were just like, say what you feel. And
the only script you got for Aspire was the introduction that I wrote really badly at the start. That was it.
Yep, and you had to read that really badly to the community, so it wasn't any of our problem.
I mean, I think the live stream was like one of the best things that has been done when it comes to the Aspire contest. Like, it was really, really good, and I wish to see it in the future as well. Maybe even in more mapping contests. It's really nice.
Because nobody wants to actually check all the entries themselves. It's a lot easier when like you can look at it on a stream, just like everyone going through it and seeing the same stuff.
Yeah, and also from the mapper's perspective, like getting anonymous feedback, like without any favoritism towards a certain mapper, is like really great.
Yeah, and that's the best way to get anonymous feedback, is like throw it up on a stream and Twitch chat. Most of Twitch, they know like the big names, they know the big players, they know some of the big mappers, but they're not gonna, well, first off, none of the stuff is listed properly, so they're not gonna know that. They're just literally going to go off what they like, what they see going on that excites them and makes them happy.
And this was a lesson. The whole stream feature thing was a lesson that we learned from the the first community beat mapping contest that we did at the start of the year or the end of last year. The Nadeshiko Sensation one, the all mode one that we had, because we didn't do any sort of stream feature for that and it wasn't advertised very heavily. And it kind of made us worry really hard about the whole public voting thing and how it would work for mapping contests in the future. But it's good to know that the stream feature was so successful and so many people liked it, because it means that we will do this now for the other Aspire contests and maybe for some monthly beat mapping contests as well if we can get enough people interested. So.
And the first community voting thing, we got so few votes that it was like hard to really justify it. And that's why we did this Aspire thing.
Yeah, it was really, really sad, honestly, because a lot of work went into it as well.
Well, it was mostly just the other 3 modes, non-standard ones, that sort of got shafted. Standard was kind of okay.
I think Catch the Beat got screwed the hardest out of all of them.
Yeah.
And Taiko with its 20 expert entries or something, if I recall correctly. Every other mode had only it was 10 hards and then 20 experts. Everyone just fighting over the expert votes.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to our next subject real quick. We're gonna go ahead and talk about the judging, the contest section real quick for our judges. So that's kind of me and Pishy here.
Hey.
Yeah, and so we'll just talk about how we felt with the whole judging process. And I mean, honestly, I'd say this is probably the most fun contest to judge. It was the least stressful for me. I did have Ephemeral hammering down my neck 24/7.
Yeah, you were past his deadline.
No, I wasn't actually past his deadline.
You were past my deadline, bitch.
I was past your deadline on the second one. The actual initial judging, I got done first.
Right.
Don't sass me.
I'm gonna sass you, good sir. Anyways, the initial judging, I liked that we were able to just say what we wanted. There wasn't a score system for either. We just between all the judges, how it broke down is we went through the maps. We were given a list of maps with assets and no assets. We were asked to look through all of them and give our personal thoughts. And I mean, that's basically what I did. I assume Pishy, we all kind of saw one format, and I think that's what we all went with. Did you do
that was
thing?
The format we did for the first community voting contest, because we had to sort 100 difficulties into 20. And so we did that sort of thing. Yeah. Or I did that thing with someone else in Ephemeral.
Yeah. And that's probably the best way to do it, and I hope that continues to be something that all the judges get going forward, because like Ephemeral said, judging for the other game modes is a little bit leery because it's hard to find people that are interested. But if you do get interested, let me assure you guys, it's not as much work as you might think it is. It's really not. Especially if we're cutting down, say you get 100 entries and 20 entries are going to be what's showcased. That means you're going through these, giving your honest opinions about them, yes, but you're only going through them to see if you feel that they are viable or not viable, and key points and stuff. But it's not just one person's decision. It all gets put through just like any other kind of panel thing would be, and then you run through, and whatever's left at the end of the day is rounded, I guess, because obviously there's going to be conflicting opinions between each party.
Well, Ephemeral had his own system for that, because what we did was we said yes, this is viable, maybe this is viable, or no, this isn't viable to each of the entries. And so Ephemeral gave yeses 1 point, maybes 0.5 points, and no's 0 points. So he just added up all the scores from every judge and then got the preliminary entries from that.
Yeah, and did an average. Yeah. In terms of judging itself, how would you say, is there any way that we can make it easier on judges? Is there any problems you have with it? I mean, I've got some, but I don't want to sit here and ramble all day.
Which part of judging? The first part or the second one?
The first part. The second part's pretty refined. The part where you have to literally sift through a whole bunch of OSU files, and
the first part, I like the first part just because it's so casual. You don't have to you look at the maps, but you don't have to give scores to anything. So it's very you can.
I like this. I don't like this. So on so forth.
It's a lot more simple. The secondary judging is a lot more. You got to think.
Yeah, like in terms of like quality of life stuff though, I wish there was a way that you didn't have to import individually each map set. I feel like before we actually had something that didn't do that, but then again, I might be thinking of a
Well,
mapping
I think
contest.
that's because like other entries or other mapping contests didn't require like external assets.
Yeah.
So you could just put in however many you want, and they all use the same like elements, so it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, and like I'm glad that there was divisions in this one. Like they did make that clear, so it did make it a little bit easier to like import stuff, because beforehand, if there was something with assets and you accidentally dropped it in, oh man, I remember one of the mapping contests, it was bad. And like I couldn't understand why this storyboard wouldn't stop showing up on this dude's map when he didn't make it, and it was just because everything was left. Like, I don't know where you guys came up with the naming conventions, Ephemeral, for this, but I like them. I really do. Like the randomizer for difficulties and stuff.
Oh, that'd be
You know what I'm talking
Necodex,
about, right?
yeah.
Yeah, like hats off to Necodex for that, because it really does make things a whole lot more anonymous and easier to sort through. Because it's not just, didn't we have before like 00A1?
Entry 400, 927.
Yeah, like it was just a bunch of numbers and stuff would get really ridiculous. But overall, Pishy, would you say that your judging experience for this contest has you like raring to go for more? Would you be interested in judging other contests as well?
I don't know about other like official mapping contests, to be honest. Aspire is interesting, but other mapping contests, I don't really like the categories we vote stuff with, like technical skill, creativity, flow and structure, and impression.
Yeah.
Each of those is kind of really vague.
Yeah.
It's hard to know like what everyone thinks when they think technical skill.
I
From
hear you
looking at
there.
like the votes from everyone, I see me and Monstrana have like the same votes for every entry pretty much.
Yeah.
But then I look at your votes and like they are completely different. No, Corinne's are a little different, not quite as different as yours.
Yeah, I'm polarizing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that old
You're
school
old.
blood, man. I'm sorry. Like my definition on what's technical and what's not is probably outdated, but it's not completely wrong. It's just outdated. And damn it me, I am not brushing that dust off that book just yet. All right. Anyways, so before we get this thing wrapped up, as we're getting close to our hour, I do remember Professional Box wanted to answer a few questions to the Twitch chat, and if Ming wants to as well, he is more than welcome to. Yes, I'm definitely out of touch, Twitch chat, but I'm not out of ranking criteria touch. Here we go.
Basically, if it's all right with you, I could talk about my experience in the contest as we practically skipped over it.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
naughty Zeta.
If that's
Bad.
something you want to hear, like, unless this was intentional, I mean, I can.
Oh no, it wasn't intentional. We
Yeah, I'm
got a
just
time
kidding.
limit, and I was running through stuff, and then I got told, "Hey, we're getting close to our time limit." I'm like, "Oh crap, need to wrap that up."
I mean,
but no,
what-
Box.
I mean,
go
while
ahead and-
people are, if they have something to ask, I mean, for that waiting period, I can talk about my experiences.
Oh, you can
But, like-
go ahead and talk about your experiences right now if you'd like. I mean, the last thing we have to touch base on is just hosting and ideas for future contests, which we could really mull over, because Ephemeral's already stated in the thread that's going to have. So, by all means, if you've got some good stuff for us to listen to about your experience with the contest, I'm all ears. I'd rather hear that than talk about new contests.
Yeah, so basically, as we were talking about the song length in particular, as like my experiences were up and down. I mean, initially when it got announced, I was super excited and I like immediately jumped into it and started to map it. But as I mapped more and more, I realized that, oh boy, this is gonna take a while to get the 6 minutes. Like it ate away a lot of motivation because it was so long that I would spend like an hour a day for a week just mapping it, and I'm sitting at like 30 to 40%, and I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna finish this unless I dedicate so much time to it. to keep it like Aspire tier level mapped all the way through. So, I mean, in future contests, because I think that the length was something that drove away many people. So basically, to keep it more competitive, I think it should be a bit shorter in the future. I mean, the song genre was fine. I didn't have anything against it, and the fact that it was so long basically allowed for many gimmicks to be used because of its length. And basically, well, for me, a marathon length map isn't anything new. I mean, when I first started out, I only mapped marathon maps, like my first 6 ranked maps. I think it was 6 were marathons only, so this was like the perfect fit for me. But I could see many people. I talk with many other mappers about how the length is just too much, and they don't have time, even though they would want to participate. So that kind of like left me a bit unsatisfied, since I thought that maybe the competition wasn't as tough as it could have been. Like, if you know what I mean, if there were many known mappers participating because of it being a bit shorter or something like that.
Yeah, like the length kind of cut out some people that might have took part otherwise.
Yeah, I'm sure that it did. And basically, the biggest obstacle was like the creative exhaustion that happened because of the length. Like, you would try to come up with new stuff, and you'd use like 5 to 10 seconds with a gimmick, and then you're like, okay, now I have to sit down and think of 20 other gimmicks before I'm past the halfway point. I mean, that was really tough. Like, it mental toll from it was really rough. Like, there were days when I couldn't do anything, even though I wanted to.
Oh, Box, I mean, you're telling the right person. You could see in some of the entries, even like some of the other entries, you could just see like where the creativity just like.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like
I know that people run out of time.
Yeah,
people run out of time, and I could see that some sections, even in my map, like the second build-up was rushed in half an hour, and some of the ending sections were rushed as well. But I could like dedicate a lot of time to it, fortunately for me at least.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's good that we have this one-off marathon length Aspire, but I think for the future, this is of course just a suggestion. It's up to Ephemeral to think about this, but it shouldn't probably be longer than 4 minutes, because that way we can keep it as competitive as possible.
No, I agree with you completely. In fact, when I was choosing that song, I was sitting there thinking 5 minutes, like approaching almost 6 minutes, is really getting to the point where he's like you said, it hits this level of creative exhaustion where you just kind of like run out of ideas. And honestly, that in a way was part of the challenge that I wanted to explore with the contest.
Yeah,
I feel like,
I mean, I liked the fact that it was the challenge from that as well. But I mean, it's just for a smaller audience of mappers, I think, because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, going forward, I don't think we'll do another marathon length one for a while, for standard at least.
Yeah. But what I really liked about it, the song itself, was that it was made by Hellblind, and the fact that it was us featured artist is like really cool, and that should be something that, I mean, I think it's something that should be kept in the future as well.
Oh,
that's really cool.
Box.
Yeah, that's the plan for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I've even talked to Sysmix about making exclusive tracks just for Aspire contests. So.
Oh, no, that sounds interesting. Like, that gets me hyped up.
Yeah, I really want to take these contests as far as they'll go. And when we've got artists on board willing to help us with that, there's really a lot of things we can do.
Very true. Before we wrap this up today, I do want to kind of ask one more question. While Professional Box was going on about the exhaustion and stuff, it got me wondering, Ming and Professional Box, about how much time would you say you put into each one of your entries?
Too much. I mean, I'd say all the free time I had for us for 2 weeks, I'd say.
Holy
shit! And that's a lot. I didn't have time to map anything else or mod anyone else's map. That it was like I solely focused on the Aspire because of the fact that it was so long, and I didn't want to rush big parts that I wanted it to be like structured like a normal map while still being an Aspire tier map, and that takes a lot of time and thinking to do, I think.
For me, it's almost 2 weeks too, because at the first week I speed map something and go to the halfway, and then think about new patterns I can put and gimmicks. At the last few days, just rush it into the end because I wanted to finish it faster.
Yeah. Do you guys feel that there was enough of time allotted for the size of the map?
The length of the map, not pretty good.
I mean, the fact that I arrogantly said that 14 days is more than enough in the beginning, I soon came to realize that, oh boy, no, it wasn't enough. So I mean,
It really,
1 month.
really wasn't.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't like 1 month was fine for me, but I mean it's 1 month is like basically max limit that I can think, because if you make it 2 months, it's just.
Too
I
long.
mean, it's too long.
Yeah, nobody will remember about
the
it.
song length.
Exactly
Yeah,
the same thing,
the song length is the key factor, not how much time you have to map it.
Nah.
So I think 1 month is good for 3 minutes or even 1.5 minutes. Like 1 month is like a good amount of time. If you have some school things, for example, to do on the first week that you should be mapping, the fact that you have 3 other weeks to do it is like really forgiving, and that's like makes it more competitive and allows for more mappers to join in.
Yeah. All right. Well, I do think it's about time to wrap this up. We are a little bit over, or I would have had open questions. Now, this is up to Professional Box, but before we end the stream, Professional Box, we are going to be having a monthly mingle here in the OS Talk Discord shortly after this is over. And if you want to ask questions to people, we could set you up a room so you could just have people asking questions about that. If there are anybody that, if there is anyone that really wanted to ask Professional Box or Ming any questions, if they can stick around. Now, mind you, we can't hold them here forever. So if they've got to go and do things, that's on them. But I do want to thank everyone that came out today. Thank you, Ephemeral, also for coming out and talking about the contest with us. I think it's a really good thing that you've got it out here and people know about it now. And I hope to see amazing contests continue to come out throughout the years.
You're welcome, Slut, and you will.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually planning to do a live stream tomorrow where I show off how I did everything in my Aspire entry. I haven't decided the clock time yet, but tomorrow I'll be showing live on stream, teaching people how to do it if they're interested on my Twitch
Ooh,
channel.
okay. Okay, yeah, no, let me know when you do that and we'll host
I
you.
mean, I'm thinking of doing it tomorrow. You have Taiko World Cup, I think, so maybe
Yeah.
in some downtime of that, since I'll be probably watching the World Cup as well. So I'll just, if there's a 1 or 2 hour downtime, I'll probably do it in like between, I think. I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
Oh, no, definitely let me know when you're doing that and we'll toss you a feature or a tweet or something. That's definitely something I think people would want to watch.
Also, we need to give a
Yeah,
shout
sure.
out. Go ahead. Okay.
Anyone I want to get a shout out? Well, basically,
Yeah, feel free.
I mean, I thanked the people that helped me out, Silver, Singh, and Ming, of course, on the comment I left for my Aspire map. But without those 3, the map wouldn't have been finished. Well, it would have been finished, but would it have been as good as it was? No, I don't think so.
Also,
Yeah.
This is my favorite Chameleon map.
What?
Chameleon map, a song.
Okay. I also wanted to give
Ming,
a
speak English, please. I'm just kidding.
I also wanted to give a shout out to our streamer today. Normally we have Deadbeat with us, but he is back behind the stream wall and he's making sure everything goes as good as it can. Well, I can say officially that we had a good enough stream where we didn't have to worry too much about anything going wrong. So congratulations, Deadbeat. Thank you for running a decent stream. And
We didn't have porn this time.
I know,
It's like
99.9% less porn. Yeah.
so proud of you, Deadbeat.
Yeah, we did good. Anyways, thanks everyone. Thank you everyone for coming out. And like I said, we'll have a little bit of a mingle in the Discord. So if you're not tired of listening to us talk, you can definitely check us out there. And be sure to check out the Taiko World Cup that is going to be going on later on today for the U.S. countries, or for the U.S. region. It starts roughly about 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And for anyone else, I do believe it's 2 a.m. UTC is when it starts. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. Definitely check the wiki to make sure I'm not wrong, because I don't want to be giving you the wrong times and then you're coming in and there's no Taiko. So if you are interested to that, feel free to check it out. And remember, guys, Rhythm's only a click away, and we'll probably see you again next week with more guests and more fun.
Yeah, this was my favorite Camellia song, for sure.
Oh my.
Very good familiar.